Welcome back. This is Return to Tennis. I'm Aaron. Thanks for returning, guys. So, I've got a racket. Of course I do, right? Something newer. I had heard a lot of great things about this racket, so I decided to give it a shot. My history with Babolat rackets is poor. I have not hit a single Babolat racket that I felt was worth it. They all felt off in some way to me. I don't know what it was. But this one, I heard a lot of great things. I was excited, so we decided to give it a try. It is the Babolat Pure Drive 98. New this year. Different, not the VS. The VS is out. They're just now calling it the 98. Little red accents on it. Well, I'm not sure how I feel about it, but it's all right. It's all right. So we've been hitting this for like the last, I don't know, like almost a month. We took it into a couple matches. We played a couple matches with it. Some of that match footage is actually up on the channel. It's one of the rare instances I was able to get some UTR footage. I was playing this racket. Very stable, good spin. I get a lot of good spin out of it. It has power and a smidge of control. But we got it out today. We got the machine out, whacked some balls with it. Some good, some not. So let's take a look. All right, guys, here we go. The 2023 Babolat Pure Drive 98. Very stable coming through the air. Feels really solid on backhands. I'm going to admit, I do like this frame probably better than any Babolat I've hit. It just feels a bit more solid to me than previous rackets from Babolat. A lot of the problems I had with a lot of the different Babolat rackets I tried, being a Pure Drive, an Aero Pro Drive, a Pure Control, the Pure Strike. I've tried several older and more recent models, and every time I just felt like the racket felt hollow, just extremely hollow. Not a solid feel in the frame at all. Ooh, sent that one flying. This is different. This feels a bit more solid overall. It doesn't have that same kind of hollow feel to it. Comes through the air very nicely. Has very adequate spin. I was kind of surprised for being like a 98 square inch power frame how much spin it could generate. I'm using the Y-Tex Quadra Twist in it. It's just a very solid racket, and I've got to admit that this is a Babolat I actually enjoyed. Like I said, I've been hitting it for about 4 weeks. Used it a lot in drills and point play. I've played 2 matches with it. Both those matches were wins. Where have I struggled with this frame? Well, it's not just this frame, it's all frames, just in general, it's consistency. But I really struggled to dial serve in with this racket. Most other frames, I kind of get a feel for them after a while, after a couple of weeks of where that serve needs to be for me to be consistent with it. Ooh, that was bad. We're going to blame that on the wind. But this one, I just really have struggled to get it dialed in. When I catch it, when I hit it right where I need to, it is a rocket of a serve. The problem is I just cannot seem to figure out where that is in the swing path. Second serves have been huge with this racket. I've been working on the kick serve still, and I've been utilizing it more in my matches. I've actually hit a few aces with the second serve kick. It would loop over, drop in right next to the sideline and jump off the court, and they couldn't get it. Very surprised I was able to do it. So the spin is definitely there. It is a good racket for that. We have altered our grip. There was a good one. We are trying to hit more of a semi-western grip and pay attention to our follow-through. Make sure we're getting that racket up to the shoulder as we swing through the ball and not like that. Yeah, see, again, we stayed down at the hip and we sent that launching. Overall, it's a great racket, guys. I was really impressed with it. still has a tiny bit of that hollow feel. But I think that's a quality I'm finding in a lot of the more modern rackets these days. I recently, in a previous video, hit some very old school frames, like late 80s, early 90s kind of frames. I've also recently been hitting my oldest Stuza Power Beam, those mid to late 80s frames. Thin beams, solid feel, heavier, of course, but just feel really solid in the hand. No hollow kind of feeling. And the more I hit those frames, the more I realize how hollow the modern day frames feel by comparison. The modern frames are meant to be lighter. They're meant to be faster through the air, not to have that kind of weight. But I kind of still prefer those old school feeling frames. The elbow's been holding up well. Still, sore once in a while, but not any different if I was to hit a heavier frame or a lighter one, or a stiffer frame or something more flexible. Now, speaking of stiffness, this is supposed to be an extremely stiff frame, and I've had other reviewers have made comments that, I've got mixed comments from other content providers that, some guys have come on and said, oh, it's stiff, but it's still very comfortable. And then other guys have come on with their reviews of it and said it was horribly stiff and will tear your arm up. So how are we getting, two different reviews on the same frame? Well, because Babolat's quality control sucks. So I went online when I was looking at this racket trying to find a deal, and I found 4 different websites selling it at 4 different listed RAs. So Tennis Express in Texas was selling it, listing it as a 67 RA. Tennis Point in Ohio was listing it as a 63, which is extremely flexible for this racket. Tennis Depot, another online retailer, listed it at a 70. Tennis Pro in Europe listed it at 74. So we have 4 different retailers online listing the frame at 4 different RAs with an 11-point spread in difference there. So I could see how reviewers and content creators online would give this different opinions when it came to the stiffness. If you have one company, one distributor gets the racket and they test them on their machines, and the average RA at their batch is 63, and you have another company who their average RA in their batch is a 74, that's a big problem. Like, you can't, it's going to be near impossible to get 2 rackets the same unless you pay for matching service. So, which some of the distributors do offer that. Tennis Warehouse does, but Tennis Warehouse doesn't carry this one, so, which is kind of weird to me. But anyways, guys, overall, probably the best Babolat I've hit when I actually managed to hit it well. Oh, come on. There we go. Just got to work on that consistent ground stroke. But I do like it. It is going to stay in the bag. As I said, I've already played a couple matches with it. I may play it some more this year. It makes me wonder how good the Pure Aero is now, the 98, though, because I've heard good things about it. In any case, guys, that's all for now. We will have some more content coming. We're going to the Western and Southern Open this weekend. We're going to watch some practice rounds, see who we can get on camera. We'll bring back some footage, guys. Thanks for tuning in. Get off the couch and get on the courts.